Greetings. Good morning, good day, everyone. Welcome, Sangha, to our 7 a.m. meditation and Dharmette. So I assume that you're able to hear me. If there is a few responses in the chat box, that'd be helpful. I've been feeling very intimate this morning to meditate and practice together, learning together. So thank you. Thank you for letting me know that I can be heard. So we've been using this list of R words in our meditation in the morning. And so last couple of days, we went through relaxing and recognizing. And today in our progression, we'll add yet another R word, which is releasing. And so there is a progression in our meditative process where when our body, mind, and heart become more and more relaxed, and there's this surface levels of agitation begin to calm down, settle down. It's like the water become, the mud began to settle down to the bottom of the lake. And so that allows for clear seeing. And so we can begin to recognize what's in the field and recognize the fish swimming or the oysters moving or the seagrass moving. And just like that, when the relaxation deepens, there can be a sense of clear recognition of what's happening. And maybe one of the important aspect of our practice is to begin to recognize the forces of clinging, grasping, and craving. And when those are recognized, at the same time, they can be released. So releasing is this dimension of kind of the movements that come when there is a clear recognition of the forces of a grasping, clinging. And the forces of a grasping, clinging have many forms of manifestations. I'm using quite abstract word, clinging, grasping, craving. But in our manifest world, we can begin to feel how it feels in our embodied sense. Maybe there are certain kind of extra constriction somewhere in the body, or there may be certain sense of tightening that can be released. And so today, in our meditation, a kind of we take on this tours of 3 R's: relaxing, recognizing, and releasing whatever that may be released in terms of extra tension and grasping. And wherever you are, it's perfectly fine. And it doesn't mean that you have to be somewhere in this sequence of R's or the map of R's. But wherever you are is wholesome. So let's begin. So take a meditative posture. Maybe take a first few moments to just arrive at your seat, arrive in a space you're in. Arriving here and now, as if you're entering into a monastery within yourself, a monastery of this body, mind, and heart. A temple within. Maybe this metaphor immediately evokes some sense of reverence, and maybe some sense of quieting. As you enter into the temple of this body, mind, and heart, take your seat right here. The initial phase of our practice involves relaxing the body in however way that might manifest itself. You can do a body scan while inviting relaxation. Or you can simply sit and offering an invitation to relax. It's helpful to relax the body. If there are certain parts of the body that tends to be tightened, held, sending gentle invitation to relax. And relaxing the mind, relaxing the heart. Maybe relaxing the mind refers to relaxing the thinking muscles. Maybe muscles around the skull, neck, some parts of the body where thinking seems to be associated with. relaxing the heart. Gently breathing through the heart. As the body becomes calmer, more settled, it's natural that mindfulness began to come to the foreground, present, aware, and began to recognize the dancing movements, sensations in the body. And temperature on the hands, warmth in the palms, and touch points that have sense of a pressure and tingling of the body against the floor, chairs, beds. Recognizing each experience as they arise and pass away. In a relaxed and easeful field, the recognition comes naturally. There may be a slight heightened clarity or sensitivity to the experiences in the body, in the mind and heart. Noticing any pleasant or unpleasant experiences arising and passing. And also noticing what happens as the pleasant and unpleasant experiences arise. There extra efforting that's happening. And that's a form of grasping that can be released. They're tightening into the experience, the object of your experience. That is a form of grasping that can be released. Are there forms of leaning into the objects of experience? That is a form of clinging that can be released. Simple, relaxed recognition. With a relaxed, easeful, clear recognition. There arises stillness, silence within. And the mind gets caught up in the stories. And the stories be released. And the mind is caught up in judging, comparing, evaluating, or fixing. And they be released. Noticing what it feels like when the extra tension, grasping are released. Maybe just a hint of how it might feel like. Or maybe just a possibility. Maybe opening of the heart. Quieting of the mind. Maybe some sense of a stillness or a hint of stillness. like walking into a peaceful temple. This process of relaxing, recognizing, and releasing allow us to settle into deeper aspects of our being that are otherwise constantly stirred up and hard to get in touch with. As you receive the sound of the bell to signify the end of the sitting together, you're welcome to abide in this monastery within, to receive the stories from a monastery within. So this morning, so we've been exploring this theme of a multi-dimensional nature of the Dharma practice path. And yesterday, I shared this story from Gil's book, A Monastery Within, about how this 30-year-old man who was overwhelmed by his family life, particularly the two children's, and wanted to escape to the monastery to find a relief. But the abbot sent him back out after a 7-day solitary retreat. And the abbot sent him back out to his family and told him that his family is his best teacher. That's where he'll find spiritual strength and freedom. And so today, we'll continue a bit in this dimension, in this theme. And today, this character in the story is not someone who was trying to escape from the monastery. In fact, the person was having a really good time in the monastery. But the abbot decided again to send him out because that's his monastery. That's where his monastery is. And so I'm going to read this story. And then I'll offer some reflections. The brilliant monk. A young man once came to the monastery to ordain as a monk. He had been raised in relatively fortunate circumstances with easy access to education, capable, smart, and friendly. He succeeded in most everything he set his mind to. Deeply reflective about life, he had studied the teachings of the major religions. In his early 20s, he decided not to follow the customary path of marriage and a career. Leaving behind the life he had known, he ordained at the age of 22 and applied himself to the meditation and training the monastery provided. Disciplined, intent, and intelligent, he made quick progress in the spiritual practice. Monks and nuns who had been there for years were in awe of how quickly he settled into deep meditation. Within 3 months of entering the monastery, he experienced his first taste of enlightenment. Immediately, the abbess grabbed the young monk, dragged him out the front gate, without explanation, kicked him out of the monastery. Later, addressing the residents of the monastery, the abbess explained, the new monk's realization was genuine, and I'm quite happy for him. However, in order for him to mature further along the path of liberation, he has to return to the world to experience more of the difficulties and sufferings of life, to understand all the corners of his own heart. He has to grapple with issues of livelihood, family, and community life. Furthermore, I expect that someday he will be a great teacher. But for this to happen, he has to understand all these issues so that he can have greater compassion and insight into the lives of his students. For this particular monk, this is not going to happen in the monastery. This abyss is pretty dramatic. Right? And reading this story, I was asking myself, what is great fortune? Hard to say, right? For this brilliant monk, the smooth, the fast track was quite nice, quite nice for a while. And all the life fortunes, quite nice for a while. Yet the Dharma is much bigger, broader, richer, and deeper. And so having a deep meditative experiences and knowledge is great. I don't want to dismiss any of that. Yet, as the story says, to understand all the corners of his own heart, he has to grapple with the issues of livelihood, family, and the communities. And so for me, what it's pointing at is that the liberation happens when the maturity of the whole being, the holistic being, ripens. And so there's no such a thing as a kind of a conditional liberation. You're only liberated if your neighbor's dogs stop barking, or when you live in a constant 70-degree temperature of the room, or when you can have, what your favorite food once every 5 days. And so liberation is not conditioned. Now, whatever the conditions that we kind of hope that they have to be. And so in this way, maybe all of us are fortunate enough that we're practicing Dharma with good enough conditions in this world. Maybe having a livelihood, a family, and communities to grapple with. And this is the monastery where we can engage in a way that strengthens our heart and mind. And so today in particular, I wanted to maybe say a few words about practicing in the relational field. And so this monk in a rather secluded monastery may not have had the chance to deal with wide range of kind of relational field. And so for me, I can definitely say that practicing in the relational field, whether it's in the family, in local communities, or in Dharma communities, have been so rewarding. And the very fact that we're here together in this virtual way, we're creating a virtual community. As a social beings, we're living in the relational field. We always influence each other and being influenced by each other. And so practicing in this relational dynamic has many, many benefits. And so for me, I definitely would not have been able to practice without the support of communities. We mirror each other, and we're mirrored back by each other. And so right now, and just knowing your presence right here in this global field that we're co-creating. So uplifting, so inspiring. And so in this way, our practice is a collective path. Even while each of us have a unique unfolding, but this collective path is unfolding right here in this relational field. And when we're practicing in the relational field, it also offers great opportunities for us to work with the challenges that come along. And we get to open the corners of our heart that are otherwise may not be touched. Now, as soon as we engage in the relational field, the communities will meet differences, disagreements, likes and dislikes, preferences. Like yesterday's story where the 30-year-old man having a very hard time to accept his older son's behavior and consider them as unacceptable. And the story didn't make it a very detailed elaboration about what the behaviors might be. How many times we are considering other people's behavior unacceptable because we had fixed views on something. It's not necessarily that they're doing anything harmful. They're just different. I remember for a while when my son was young and he loves to eat with his hands. And I had this idea that it's not clean. But the Buddha ate with his hands. There's still billions of people on this planet eating with their hands. Is that unacceptable? So I had to change my own view on this. And so how can we live with the differences without harboring ill will, anger, hatred, aversion? How can we live with the differences while still being in harmony with each other? And this is certainly not easy to do. Yet it's such a worthy dimension of the practice to open up to. When we become more and more skillful in our relational world, relational fields, the benefit will ripple out into the world at large. It's such a beneficial force for the world at large. So may the collective practicing force that we're engaged in together bring benefit to all beings everywhere. Thank you for your attention and deep bows to your practice and your engagement. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everyone.